Hey folks, it is the Nutty Knife Guy. Another on the fly, when I had time and the weather was good video about the Schrade's something something number Bolo, which is actually more of a barong. Uh, Hopefully when I actually post this video I will put the model number and all the specifications if I remember. But you know how I am about that if you go look my channel. The important thing is, does it work? And if you Google Schrade Bolo, I'm sure this will come up. Okay, how this came about is Sunday. Tomorrow. I usually is when I do my videos. Is usually I upload on Sunday, but I'm not. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do one tomorrow. I might do another one tomorrow, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that. So the weather was nice, and there was a couple of jobs around the house that I was going to do that required some sharp, pointy things. And I had just gotten this. And as I was just going, I wasn't going to film any of this. I was just going to go out and do the work. And then I said, well, I may as well just film my work and use that to demonstrate the video, because you see what actually it's used for. So I did some other stuff with it, and then when I got into this dogwood tree, at least I think it's a dogwood bush or tree. I think it's more of a bush. People tell me it's dogwood. I don't know from trees. I mean, there's a few I know, but I don't know from. Oh, I'm not an expert. But I know that the wood was fairly hard. So it would be a good test for this. And also, there is an actual tree growing in the middle of our bush, and the powers that be here at the Chelinsky domicile would eventually want that tree to go away. So I wanted to start cutting back the bush so we could get at the tree. And also, I don't know what I did with it. What did I do with it? Did I bring it down or leave it up downstairs? I'll bet you I left it upstairs. But you'll see what I'm cutting in the footage. So I've already been out and did the work with this, and now I'm going to talk about it. So it's not going to be like a normal video where I talk about it, go to the war post, and then come down and talk about it some more. I'm just going to talk about it and then show you the footage. So I'm not going to leave you with my usual admonishment, which is to draw your knives only in just purpose and to sheathe them only with honor. And to remember that without knives, life would be dull and pointless. I'm not going to do that, because that would have to be at the end of the video, and the end of the video is going to be the end of the test footage. So I'm going to talk about the test footage now. You can see I did a lot of chopping with this. Some of it was thick, and this is a machete. You know, they call it, like I said, it's a barong machete. They call it a bolo. It's a barong machete. So it's a machete. It's designed for carrying light bush, and this wasn't exactly light. This is about as big as you're going to want to go with a blade like this, and it did okay. But let's get the other stuff out of the way at first. First of all, the grip is good. You can grip it way down here. It's got the little I don't know what you call it. It's not really a choil, but a raised indentation here. I mean, a raised portion here that you can get your thumb and really lock it in, or you can grip it way back here for more chopping power. It absorbs shock very well. All that chopping I did, I didn't have any hot spots. Really didn't feel the shock. So that way it's quite good. The sheath is also adequate. It's okay. I would like to see this longer, because when you wear it over your shoulder, and I know you can't see my belt, it needs to go down to the belt, and it needs to have a loop so you can put it horizontally and attach it to your belt, and just have that little give, because it'll do this on your shoulder and slap up against your thigh. I mean, slap up against your side, and that would be annoying after a while. It does have this little bit of a strap here. I guess that's what it's for. But for me, being tall, this strap is too short to really make use of that. It comes with a fire steel, which works. And it does have a teeny tiny little striker with it, but you can get a spark with it. My problem with it was, as soon as I got it, this thing is so small. If your hands were sweaty, or it was cold, or you were wearing gloves, trying to do this with this little tab would be really, really hard. So the first thing I thought, well, can you strike it with the spine, since it came with it? The answer is yes. Works very well. However, see if I can get some light on that. Maybe turn it this way would work better. I hope you can see that. If you can't, in this light, say it's in the evening, so wait a second. Maybe if I do it this way. Yeah, there, I think you can see that. Striking it took the black coating right off of this thing. Right now. I mean, no problem at all. I mean, it just happened the first time. So, there's that. Now, in the actual chopping though, except for some scuff marks, that black coating held up very well. So, but the fire steel works, and it works very well with this, but it will damage your coating. It also comes, now the fire steel can go in this little pocket here. And it also comes with a pretty nice diamond sharpener here, which I'm actually going to try something with on camera here in a minute. Fire still fell out because I forgot to shut the pouch. Now, as for the chopping, as I said, I've already been out to do the chopping, and you will see that. That footage will come right after this, but then the video will abruptly end. Okay, just so you know. Again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, and I've never seen the steel, if I remember correctly, is what is it? 3CR13 MOV. If I remember, so not the greatest steel in the world, but easy to sharpen and relatively inexpensive. I don't know if you can see that because it's very subtle, but there's actually kind of a dent in the edge. It's not a roll, and it's not a chip, but right where it turns out the point of percussion is on this thing, where I was hitting with it the most, and that might be a little off because it was a weird angle I was getting around those other sticks, but there actually seems to have almost straightened out the curve in here. Let's see, that make me more pronounced on that side. And I can't tell if you guys can see that or not, but it's there, but it is there. The weird thing is, it's still pretty sharp. Now, there is, when it comes to chopping tools, especially machetes, there is such a thing as having them too sharp. Especially if you're going to chop something fairly substantial. There's chopping sharp, and then there's slicing sharp. Machetes like this don't need to be slicing sharp unless you know you're going to use them as a weapon, and that's all you're going to use them for. But as a tool, I think that's what probably happened here. It actually came too sharp. This was slicing sharp when it came. And started bouncing it off of that thing, and I've just never had, now what I'm wondering is if initially the edge was so thin it did roll, and as I kept chopping, the roll just came off and metal actually came off of this thing. That's my theory, but I don't know. Now and also the tip, evidently I hit the tip somewhere along the line. I don't remember doing that, but I don't know. I doubt you can see that, but there is a burr that formed on the tip. It's just a burr. And I suspect that once I get that off of there, it will never happen again, because I just think that the tip was actually, like the edge, too sharp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pretty nice diamond stone that came with it, and just see how easy that burr comes off of there. Not quite. Okay, yeah, that burnt burr ground right off of there. And don't cringe, and I'm not going to angle the camera down, but I'm just going to give this some taps on the concrete floor here. I'm not going to hit it real hard. I just want to see if the burr comes back, because if the tip is truly weak and it burred that way, then the burr should come back on concrete, right? You could probably hear that if you need proof. It did, but not to the same degree, so I'm thinking that that's not too bad. I mean, that's concrete, for crying out loud. So, I mean, I forget what I paid for this, and again, I'll look that up and put it in the comments. I think it's under $30, if I remember right. Again, it's adequate. I think I used this outside its intended parameters. It wasn't there to chop down saplings. It was intended to clear light brush. So the edge damage and things like that, I don't like it. I'm not making excuses for it, but I can try to find explanations for it. Can I recommend it? With certain reservations, yeah. This is not a kukri like my kukri from the ex-Gurkha kukri house, which is not to be confused with the Gurkha kukri house. They both make great stuff, and they're both in Nepal, but they're two different companies. But I have one that I got from the kukri that I got from the ex-Gurkha kukri house that I don't think I've showed you on this channel. I did it on my defunct Fighting Nerd channel that didn't go very well. Maybe I should get that out and review that. But that thing's like a 1/4 inch thick, and it's got a segler grind, and it weighs like 3 pounds. And yeah, you can take down. Eventually, you could probably take down a fair sized tree with that thing. That's what this is for. This is light brush clearing. This is a true machete. So knowing that and not chopping down trees with it, that is really not a problem. So if you can get it for the under $30 range, and use it as, don't do things like I did with it, and use it as it was intended. Or if you do wind up using it for what I did, realize that you're going to have to do some damage control on the blade and the tip. Yeah, it's okay. It's not something. I mean, I will. There are things. I'm sure I will be using this again eventually. Would it be if I was going to go out on a camping trip and everything, and I needed a light, something to clear brush with? Would this be my go-to? Probably not. I've got a cold steel kukri machete that is better than this in some ways. The handle on this thing is excellent. As I said, you can chop this all day long, and it's not going to hurt your hand, and it almost completely negates any shock effect. That's excellent. But the steel in the blade is not 1095. It's not 1055, or was it 1075? I think it's 1055 on the cold steel kukri machete. So better steel on the cold steel, much better handle on the Schrade. If Schrade would make this in something like 1055, this would be great. Also, as I said, the fire starter with the little striker that comes with it is problematic under practical use, simply because it is so small. It's tethered to the fire starter, which is fantastic, but that makes it even harder to use because the tether is short. if you have gloves on, if your hands are cold, if your hands are wet, that would be really, really hard to use. Or even if you were tired, you know, maybe you pushed the hike a little bit hard and your blood sugar was low and your hands were shaking, manipulating something like that would be really tough. And you would wind up striking it on the bolo. And if you wound up striking it on, which through sparks like crazy, I mean, that it works really well. But it did take off the coat. I will probably, I have a kit that I use for some of my Bang Bang toys to blue this section so it will help prevent rust, even though this is stainless. You know, and unless you're really looking for that, it doesn't even change the look of the tool. But and I'm sure the designers had a striker for the fire steel. You know, who's going to use that? But when I do a review, I try to do practical use based on my experience with such things. And a lot of the times when you're there, I mean, even if it's the weather's good, you've been hiking all day, maybe you're sweating. And it's slick, like I said, gloves, right? If you're getting older like me, sometimes I have arthritis in the hands, you're going to want something bigger. And also, this throws better sparks than that little itty bitty thing. So, I mean, it's not that's not something that should keep you from buying this. But it just tells me that they threw that on. Hey, yeah, let's give them a fire steel. And they didn't really think about the design. They didn't really think about someone actually having to use it. All they did was, yeah, it throws sparks here in our workshop. That's fine. And granted, and the thing of it is, the way I'm looking at it too, if you're using a fire steel, it's probably not your first way to start fires. Your first go-to is going to be a lighter or matches or something like that. Okay, I don't have any of these. I don't have any of those. I lost my lighter. I can't find my friggin' lighter. You know, and then you're thinking, damn it, I let Joe my lighter and he ran off with it. He's always stealing lighters. And now I'm out here and I need to start a fire in the woods and I don't have my lighter. But I do have my Schrade Bolo and I have the fire stick there. But now it's dark and it's getting cold and my hands are a little shaky and I got to use this little tiny striker. You see what I mean? Just put the striker out a little more, or understand that they were going to use the back of this as a striker, because you saw that thing threw sparks really well. So, okay, I've spent a lot of time talking about the fire steel because it damaged the blade to use it. But, I mean, hey, it worked. So, do I recommend it? Yes. But you just have to understand the limitations, particularly the limitations of the steel. Now, I would like to see my cold steel kukri machete and my Schrade Bolo here get together and have a baby. And have the 1055 steel with this marvelous handle. This is a really, really comfortable handle. So, if it's just light work, you know, light brush clearing and everything like that, and you're not going to do anything heavy, you're not going to be going after hardwood, this will serve you well, but just understand that it has those limitations. And now I'm going to cut to the use footage, and so I am not going to bid you goodbye. I'm going to bid you goodbye now, but remember, test footage is forthcoming when I say so. Go watch the test footage before you turn me off. Maybe I ought to splice just a little bit of the test footage in before this. We will see. Depends on how lazy I am and how frustrated I get with my editing software. Because I got new software and it's frustrating. And I bid you goodbye from the bunker. But you've got to go out, to get out of this video, you've got to watch the test footage. demonstration footage, use footage, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to turn me off now because I'm starting to babble. What this Schrade Bolo can do. Hopefully you'll be able to see if you can see. Okay. Yep. That was a bit more accurate. Still a piece attached. Hanging on. Okay. This is a dogwood tree, I'm told. And they're supposed to be pretty hard wood. And it seems to be doing quite nicely. Get it untangled here. Now, trying to get a couple of straight pieces out so I can make some fighting sticks out of this. There's a nice straight piece still attached to the ground. If I can get that out of there, that would just be perfect. I'm going to break some of these twigs up. Some of these may be used as for other, and for the blade this size, it actually feather sticks pretty well. I found out by accident. See if I can get this cutting online. Just breaking these up. Okay. A lot of sun glare in this screen. I'm trying to make sure you're all still in frame here. Okay, not exactly straight, but after a little work I can make it straight. And now I've got some sticks for vampire deterrents in future videos. Let's see about this other one, because I don't want this lying around in the yard intact. This stuff is almost a vine. It likes to split down the grain of the wood and not across. Yeah. You guys enjoy your taste of tree? Okay. Now that that's done, we'll go and actually talk about this Schrade Bolo, which is actually a barong. Yeah, I think I can get a more or less matched pair out of these. I'll at least get one good homemade baton out of it. This one's a little... yeah, this one's too crooked, so we'll put that in the garage for future chopping tests. Now eventually what we're going to do, we've got a big tree growing in the middle of this bush. Eventually I got to chop my way to the tree so I can chop down the tree. But that's for another day. So